Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to take up uh, the first poem which we ought to do in class 12, and on the screen, as you can see, is a black and white photograph of the poet. Yes, his name is Thomas Hardy, and we are going to do his poem, The Darkling Thrush. So, The Darkling Thrush, of course, is a world famous poem. But before we begin with the poem, like you have in your workbook, here also we have a short introduction of Thomas Hardy. Now, Thomas Hardy, whose books include Tests, Jude the Obscure, he was one of the most influential novelists and poets of England's Victorian era. He died on January 11th, 1928. So you can see that he belonged to the Victorian period, that is, Queen Victoria was at that time the Queen of England. And Thomas Hardy wrote this poem, The Darkling Thrush, with a kind of sadness in his heart, because the old century was about to come to an end and the new century was about to start. So, standing at the threshold of the new century, he is both pessimistic and optimistic. So, let us see what we can understand about this poem. Published in December 1900, at the end of the 19th century, The Darkling Thrush symbolically mourns the passing of an era. In that respect, it is an elegy. Now, what is an elegy? It is explained: a mournful poem that deals with death. Such a poem is called an elegy. Here, the death of the century is what the poet is talking about, and so we may consider this poem an elegy. As a matter of fact, the poem was originally called The Century's End 1900, but it was also the dawn of the 20th century. Probably giving way to his guarded optimism about what the new age would bring, Hardy renamed the piece, that means this poem, to the more cheery title as we know today, that is The Darkling Thrush. Now, this poem is said to be very rich in metaphor. Darkling, first and foremost, the title of the poem. What does the word darkling stand for? Darkling means of the darkness. And what does it convey? It conveys an end of days. That is the metaphor in the title of the poem. Here, the dusk doesn't just refer to the dimming of light. On a deeper level, we deal with despair and death of the century and the winter landscape to this, and things get more dismal. Dismal means sad, or something which is painful, something which causes you to feel a bit down and hopeless. So that is how it becomes. Thankfully, not all is doom and gloom. Now, this is very important in this poem. The poem has two parts. There are 4 stanzas, but then the first 2 stanzas describe the passing of the century and all that is associated with the dying century. But the upcoming 2 stanzas, that is stanzas 3 and 4, they talk about hope, optimism. So we shall see how Thomas Hardy has made a blend of both sadness and happiness in this poem. On one hand, it's hopelessness or pessimism. On the other hand, there is new hope with the coming of the new century. Now, this poem, the time frame that is mentioned in this poem, when we read the text, we shall see that the time frame is actually the evening of 31st December. And 31st December means the following day is New Year and the turn of the century. So this is 1900 is about to end, and 1901 one is about to begin. That means the 20th century is about to start and the 19th century is coming to an end. Okay, so let's see. There is this description of the winter landscape, and there is another focal point said here, another focal point to this poem, the thrush. It's very important. See, we have only two characters, if we really can consider them as characters. One is the narrator. Let us imagine that the narrator is the poet himself, and the other one is a bird, a thrush. A thrush is a common bird in England, but then when it is December, when the landscape is covered with snow and ice, you don't generally get to see the thrush, because birds migrate and animals hibernate. It's very cold, bitterly cold. But this thrush is heard singing on 31st December evening. That surprises the poet. He wonders, and he even terms the bird as an old thrush. Let's see what happens. The thrush. Now this thrush is a complete antithesis or a contrast to what everything else in the poem represents. The bird speaks of hope, joy, and change. Remember, three things in this poem. The singing of the thrush signifies hope, signifies joy, signifies change. The play of light and shade is also very effective in the poem. All these are, lofty concepts that go beyond our five senses. Such poems based on abstract ideas are called abstractions. So you may call this poem an elegy. It is also an abstraction. Now, change is never easy. More often than not, we do not have a choice but to accept it. You see the coronavirus menace, how the world has completely changed. Even if we don't want to accept it, we have no choice but to accept it. The present situation is the biggest proof of change happening around us. The darkling thrush is about one person's reaction to this change. Whose reaction? The poet's reaction. Thomas Hardy's reaction. The narrator's reaction. It is about hope in the face of despair. As I told you, the poem has two sides. One is melancholy, sad, upset, dim, dull, dismal, gloomy, first two stanzas. And the second one is hope, chance, possibilities, things that can possibly happen for the good of mankind in future. So there are two sides in this poem. Now, it all depends on how a person looks at things. You want to feel sorry for the dying century, or you want to feel hopeful and happy about what is to come. Even the poet had the same sentiment. That's why he changed the name of the poem. Initially, as you know, the poem was called something else, and then later he named it The Darkling Thrush. So optimism finally managed to win over the gloom, the dismal, the hopeless sensation and the sentiments and the emotions of the poet. So let us see the form of the poem also at this juncture. There are four stanzas. Two of the four stanzas to his main subjects, the winter evening, then the thrush. Each stanza is an octet. Now this is very important as far as the form of the poem is concerned. Octet means it has 8 lines. Each stanza has 8 lines. Hardy even coined his own words in this poem. You will come across these words in the text: outlent, blast beruffled, spectre grey, contributing to the ordered meter rhythm of the poem, etc., blah blah blah. So you can just go through the rest of it, and you have all the different figures of speech mentioned here, and you can also refer to your workbook where the style, the form of the poem, everything concerning the poem's structure and the kind of lines that have been used, the kinds of figures of speech that have been used are clearly explained in the workbook. You are expected to do that thoroughly, and also this piece of note which I have put together here for you. And now after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a stanza wise explanation of this poem, so that you can understand, and that so that there are no doubts in your mind. And after that, finally, of course, I'll be asking you to do some answers. You have to write some answers. So in the next video, I'm going to explain the poem. I'll try to give you an overall explanation, and there will also be some some explanations on your screen which you can read through, and if necessary I'll also upload the PDF file for these explanations, so that you can keep them and you can study them and prepare the poem for your exam. So thank you very much.